From the studio that brought us Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and the Emoji Movie, Sony is now bringing us the Garfield movie. I had no idea what to expect, and I found myself constantly switching from, oh, that was funny, to, well, that was pretty retarded, to, that was a nice scene, and then back to, wow, that was not funny at all. And now I think back, and I liked it. I think it was an okay experience. I am glad I saw it. What else can I say? Will I ever watch it again? Yeah, I can definitely see myself buying this movie to watch with my son someday. That being said, this movie is nothing special. I just wanted to earnestly express my feelings on this film before I completely spoil everything about it. This plot gets a lot more involved than I expected it to. First, let me introduce our main guys. There is Garfield, of course, then Odie, his friend and right-hand man, then John, Garfield's owner, and finally our new character Vic, who is Garfield's father. Our intro shows us an origin story of sorts. It shows us how Vic left Garfield in an alley one night, and how Garfield came to live with John. Back in the present day, Garfield seems to be living the dream until he is kidnapped with Odie. They are rescued by Vic, but are quickly recaptured by our villainous trio. There is Big Dog, Small Dog, and Evil Mastermind Cat, who has been wronged by Vic and wants revenge. Basically, they have 42 hours to get a truckload of milk from the dairy farm or else they all die. This leads to our heroic trio meeting up with Otto, an old cow who used to live on the farm. They strategize a way in and out of the farm. The majority of the film is this heist. It has many elements I like and several I dislike, such as the gang using acorns as earpieces. The biggest threat of the mission being something that wasn't actually that difficult of an obstacle after all, and a lot of unfunny jokes. But then, there are also a good handful of jokes that made me laugh, moments for characters to develop with each other, and I especially liked the end where Vic leaves Garfield and Odie to be captured, and he escapes and has to go back to Jinx, the crazy cat. Did I forget to say her name was Jinx? Sorry about that. She's a crazy cat. The big twist, which isn't a twist for any adult watching this film, is that Vic was protecting Garfield by letting him get captured, and Vic is now going to be killed by Jinx, even though he was able to make off with the milk truck like Jinx wanted. Jinx is a crazy cat, by the way. The final act is a rescue mission that is way too complicated for its own good. It does have good moments, not good for the plot, just comedy and character-wise. As far as the plot goes, these last action scene moments kinda suck. Jinx is going to kill Vic by throwing him off a train that is going over a bridge a mile high in the air. Garfield calls in thousands of drones with food deliveries that he uses as weapons, but doesn't even consider using them as a means of escape. Instead, the escape plan is, and I kid you not, to jump off the train as it goes over the mile-high bridge. Now, you might be saying to yourself, wait, baby giraffe, my ears must not be working today, because it sounds like the hero's plan of escape is the same as the villain's plan for revenge. Well, dear viewer, you heard correctly. Odie has set up a net on the bottom of the ravine to catch Garfield and Vic when they fall. This net is 10 feet wide, by the way. So Garfield and Vic jump off, but the net is too tight, so they bounce all the way back up to the train, and the villain's like, oh nice, now I can push them off. Both of the bad guys' goons turn against her, and another fight leads to everyone falling off the train, and somehow ending up on the same net Odie set up the first time they fell. This is a train going at a pretty brisk pace, I'd say. It's already a problem how long the train is on the bridge in movie time, and it's laughable how convenient the net placement is the first time it's used, but any attempt to explaining how it works a second time falls short and dies. The rest of the film goes on to have more solid character moments, but as far as the plot goes, it is getting a 3 out of 10. But now we'll go on to characters, which is the category that makes this movie way better than I thought it was originally going to be. I'll start with Odie. He was really good here. He is a loyal friend to Garfield, and all of his characteristics and traits were really quaint. It's really hard to deal with characters that don't speak, but Odie was handled very well. He wasn't just fun to watch. I wanted to see him keep interacting with the other characters, especially Garfield. Their friendship was very interesting. I can almost imagine some moron saying Odie was a slave to Garfield, but that's not how it was at all. Everything Odie does for Garfield is done out of friendship. I really liked Odie here, and his loyalty to his friend was fantastic. Garfield, he's the cat you know and love. He loves food, he hates Mondays, and he's really funny. But his character shines the most when he's with his father. Garfield's father, Vic, is presented to us as a deadbeat dad who left his son in an alley. But it is revealed to us that he actually does care about his son. What? Yeah, I know, it's crazy. He came back to find Garfield with John, and he made the decision to let John take care of his son because of how better off he would be with John instead of with him. His character isn't anything too special by itself, but his relationship with his son is where the good stuff lies. Garfield believes for the majority of the film that his father abandoned him and doesn't want to be around him now. Vic doesn't even try to explain his actions until he is literally tied up with Garfield, who keeps attacking him for abandoning him as a child. Vic finally can't take it anymore. He explains to Garfield he let John take him, and he even apologizes that he couldn't take care of Garfield. He does what's best for Garfield by letting him get captured, and even goes straight into a trap where he almost dies just to protect his son. This relationship between Vic and his son was pretty good. The resolution on the train would have been very touching if I hadn't been thinking about the stupid net situation, but luckily at the end of the film there is no such distraction. Garfield offers Vic to come inside the house with him, but Vic declines the offer, thinking once again that he doesn't belong in his son's life. But this time, Garfield knows what's happening. He doesn't just let his father be. He persists and tells Vic that he wants him to be a part of his life, and it makes for a great ending to the whole movie. I could say something about Otto and his wife, but I think I'll just let that be a little treat for you if you end up watching this movie. None of the other characters have anything that's too notable going on for them, except for Jinx. She's a crazy cat. Characters is getting a 7 out of 10. The comedy in this movie is a very mixed bag. I would say the ratio is 55 to 45. The 55 being the good comedy that landed and was actually funny. But I think the rewatchability isn't going to be forgiving for the comedy at all. For comedy to last in people's memories and to get people to watch it over and over again, you need the jokes to hit much harder and a lot more consistently. There aren't that many burst out loud laughing moments. Most of the good jokes will get a chuckle or an occasional laugh out of me. Nothing too memorable. I'm going to give the comedy a 5 out of 10. But a middle-of-the-road comedy is to a moviegoer like a zombie is to an assassin. Yeah, technically the job is done, but it really would be nice if it was a little more done. One last thing I want to note before the final score here, the voice acting. I think Chris Pratt did a very good job here as Garfield. He is able to give the perfect level of sarcasm you expect from a Garfield character, but he really shines in the scenes where he goes from angry to sympathetic towards his father. He is making quite the name for himself with all these animated voice roles. Samuel L. Jackson also did a great job as Vic, but a voice I definitely didn't expect was Ving Rhames as Otto. You'll recognize him from the Arby's commercials, and he definitely played his role very well here. I would very much like him to play more voice acting roles in the future. His voice carries so far, and he has the ability to show emotion and express everything you would want from a voice actor. Apparently he might be doing some voice work for The Wild Robot, so that's exciting. Another reason to get excited for that movie, I guess. But as for Garfield, I am going to give it a very delicious 5 out of 10.